On a Saturday night in the nation's capital, your Washington Mystics looking to go 3 in a row, albeit the first and only back-to-back night of the season would face the Minnesota Lynx. Unfortunately for Washington, another one-possession game would come to the outcome of this game. Unfortunately, it would go in the favor of Minnesota. Final score, 80-78. Now they are ready to head out on a 3-game road trip that includes 2 in Seattle. But before we get to breaking down that game, those games in that road trip, we have to break down what we saw here tonight in the ESA. Welcome to Mystics Postgame Live. Wes Hall with Chasity Melvin. We'll be joined by Ariel Freeman and Ariel Atkins momentarily, along with head coach Eric Thibault. But I want to start kind of at the beginning of what we saw here in the second half, Chas. We knew this was going to be an intense matchup with Minnesota, knowing that they were clamoring for a victory. Unfortunately, not going their way. But what did you see about Washington in that second half that kind of gave us the hope that they might be able to pull it out?
They did. The Washington Mystics played flat the entire game. I mean, they had spurts, but what they really needed to do was go on a run and make it a long run, and they couldn't do that. And whether it was really the Mystics or was it the Minnesota Lynx, because McBride hurt us. She was a thorn in the Mystics side tonight. Every time they made a run, the Lynx came back and they either got to the free throw line with Jessica Shepard inside.
True.
They beat us on the boards tonight. They clearly won the board advantage, and it just, in a back-to-back, it takes a team effort. And the Mystics, they combined, the backcourt and the front court at times, but consistently, like I said, it was just spurts. The only energy I saw tonight was when Shakira Austin got that steal, and then you saw Ariel Atkins, who opened up from behind the arc tonight, got a 3.
Yep.
They made critical plays, but like I said, it was in spurts, and they needed more of a run in the end to finish it.
It was such an unusual night because you saw that at the first half, Elena Deladon and Shakira Austin only had 2 points respectively. It was Natasha Cloud who had 10 points in the first half to kind of lead the charge, and we know that she is kind of the litmus test for energy on this team, but unfortunately not able to see that be able to become contagious to the rest of the squad tonight. What did you think about the way that Tasha was approaching the game tonight, especially on the second night of a back-to-back?
No, I liked it. I liked that she was able to get downhill more in the second half. You saw the drop-off passes that Natasha Cloud had. She found Shakira, and then she was able to get really deep in the paint. Obviously, knocking down the shot here at the nail also helped, but right here, this ignites the Mystics. When they can get in the paint, get easy layups, and finish the shot behind the arc, Natasha Cloud knocks it down again here too. So, like I said, the backcourt kind of showed up tonight offensively, but they just didn't get a combined effort in a long run and make a huge impact there to kind of put the Lynx away.
Indeed, Natasha Cloud had 14 points tonight, 9 dimes. We know that she likes to throw as many assists as she possibly can. Of course, now you see the points that she put up tonight. I talked about those 14. 2 for 7 from behind the arc, 2 boards, 2 steals. There's not a single part of the box score that she doesn't check off. My question to you, though, Chas, is when you're looking at a night where Elena Deladon finishes with 12, Shakira Austin finishes with 14, what are the gaps that need to be filled for this team to put together a complete game? Now, we know they started off hot against New York, they lost the next 2, and then they're able to win the next 2 after that. But here we are now 6 games in, and we're looking to find that consistency. How do they find that recipe?
I think, tonight they were able to figure out a way to get Elena Deladon off the block and not face the double team action. Using her in the pick and roll as far as executing instead of using her as the screener kind of opened things up for her and Shakira Austin in the second half. Okay. And that way, that defeated, the Minnesota Lynx and having to be able to double her on the block. And then they used the brush action, cross action screen from small to big that got her open a little bit. But obviously when the EDD is blocking shots and getting out and getting early looks where the double team can't come like you see here, and then just driving in and hitting her teammate Shakira Austin, then that bodes well for the Mystics. Right here, I love that pick and roll action where she initiates this, and she's not the screener, but she's attacking, getting in the paint, and obviously she gets her eye on the rim and is able to finish.
And something that's unusual as we were watching the game, remember, if I'm not mistaken, EDD didn't score the entire first quarter.
No, she didn't.
Now, you're not going to have a 2-time MVP go on a drought for that long, but we have to imagine that had somewhat of an effect when you're looking at the down roster scoring for this team. 4 players in the Mystics starting lineup in double figures, Brittany Sykes being the fifth, who was not. However, Brittany Sykes knocked down 2 big threes, including one down the stretch, that gave us a glimmer of hope that they might be able to pull it out.
Well, the Mystics gave us a glimmer of hope of them actually clicking on all cylinders offensively with their backcourt, making some big-time shots, getting downhill. Shakira Austin having an off night. They were still in the game. Like 4 players in double figures, you would think the Mystics would win. But really, you got to look at it. I mean, if Coach E's going in there, he was like, tonight really wasn't our night off of a back-to-back. And Minnesota Lynx really needed to win. So maybe the basketball guys were on their side tonight with Tiffany Mitchell coming in, getting her shot blocked by Brittany Sykes, a great defensive play, and then she gets it back and puts it back in. That's how the game goes, but Wes, that's why we love this game. Although the Mystics didn't pull it out tonight, you can't fault them too much for a back-to-back.
And I think you're absolutely right. They understand how important it was for Minnesota to fight tonight to get this win. We'll live to see another day. But right now I want to go to Megan McPeak and Christy Winterscott and get their thoughts on the performance from the Mystics tonight.
Yeah, Wes, when you look at this, Christy, an evenly matched game, when you look at statistically down the column, you can't just pinpoint one singular thing when you think of it being a one-possession game in a one-possession loss. Right. But you had your eye on the three-point shooting. Although both shot it well, something stood out to you, though.
Well, both teams knocked in 9 triples, but when you're looking at percentages, and it was hard to decipher one thing that was a game changer, but you have to look at efficiency. Both teams knocked in 9 threes, but you're looking at Minnesota, they were 9 of 24, Washington 9 of 30. So that's a differential of almost 8 percentage points. So when you're looking at efficiency, they were more efficient from 3 in a 2-point loss. One more 3 goes in for Washington, or shoot a higher percentage from 3, that changes everything. So when you're looking at everything, both teams had 4 players in double-figure scoring. The fast break points were basically even. Rebounds were basically even. Washington did a good job of keeping the Minnesota Lynx off the glass. But when it comes down to it, how efficient are you at putting the ball in the basket, right? And Washington did a fantastic job of turning Minnesota over 17 times. He got 30 points off of those, but it wasn't enough. So you have to be efficient. You got to get shots down. And there were some layups, too, and that's what Eric Thibault's been talking to us about as well. They've got to be able to knock in those chippies inside. It's going to be physical. You know that. You understand that you're going to get hit. So in a one-possession game, can you get 2 layups down? Under duress, but you have to be able to be efficient, and I think that's the bottom line in this game. Washington drops what would have been their 3rd victory in a row, but they have games ahead of them, and they have time again this week to correct some things and clean some things up.
Yeah, you can even look at the free throw shooting. Mystics only missed 1 free throw.
Right.
So you make that 1 free throw, that doesn't necessarily help you as well, because then instead of it being a 2-point loss, it's only a 1-point loss. Nonetheless, a lot of things that they can improve upon, a lot of things that they did right, that they like, that they can continue to do, because you now get set to go cross-country for a matchup with the Seattle Storm. You've got a double dip with them in Seattle over the course of about 4 or 5 days, but you've got a week at least, if not 4 days, to prepare for them like you did for this back-to-back as we go back to the perch to Wes.
I appreciate it, Megan and Christy, taking a look at the game stats for tonight. Those field goal percentage, as we were spoken about just momentarily, the Mystics right at 40%, 31% from 3. The free throws only missing 1, as Megan had mentioned, but the rebounding going in the favor of Minnesota, the assists as well, and the turnovers for Washington, actually having only 10 turnovers, but 11 points coming up off them. Again, the final score is 80-78. Chasity, one of the things that I was thinking about tonight as we were listening to Megan and Christy was Kayla McBride. Now, we know that the Lynx were already missing Diamond Miller tonight. She was injured on Tuesday against the Wings. However, Kayla McBride tonight, 24 points. And the reason that I bring this up is this simple question. When you need stops, because it's not just about scoring, sometimes you got to cut somebody else's water off. How do the Mystics do that, but not get into foul trouble, seeing as you got to keep everybody on the court as much as you can?
Well, really, I think what happened tonight, for the Mystics defensively with McBride, is they lost her behind. They left her open for 2 wide open threes, and you can't do that with Kayla McBride. And that got her going, and then she was just hot the rest of the game.
And it was interesting because you know that this is a league of stars, as anything in the professional ranks. And so when you see a player that gets the hot hand, you've got to be able to neutralize them. Who do you think on this roster for the Mystics is going to be most responsible for being the best on-ball defender to try to make that matchup happen inside?
Well, I like the aggressiveness from Ariel Atkins and obviously Natasha Cloud. I just think, like, coming off a back-to-back, like I said, they did it in spurts. But when they had those lackadaisical moments and you gave McBride wide open shots, it happens. It's a part of the game. It's a part of playing in the WNBA. You're not going to be on those nights, especially in back-to-back. So obviously you got to find someone help coming off the bench. I thought Shatori came in and did some really great things off the bench for the Mystics tonight. And like Megan and Christy said, they had some great things happen for the Mystics tonight. I said it too, but I just think the basketball guys were on the Lynx side tonight.
Indeed, there was a moment at the end of the third quarter going into the fourth where you saw a timeout where Eric Tebow was just almost emphatically yelling for energy, like get that energy going because it's going to be required to get these wins, like you said, on the second night of a back-to-back, albeit the only back-to-back of the entire Mystic season, something that they can look forward to kind of having some rest from here tonight. But another thing with that, as a former player yourself, how do you find that juice when you know that, all right, we were just here last night, we played a down-to-the-wire game against Dallas, here it is the very next day, and we're in one of those dogfights. How do you as a player kind of stay locked in?
As a player, I like when players play with passion. Okay. And I know that EDD is cool, calm, and collective, cooler than the other side of a pillow on the court.
They say.
And the Sykes as well, Ariel, they kind of like don't really show much emotion. McLeod has it sometimes, but she had her hands full with Nafisia Collar tonight.
Yes, she did.
I like when Shakira Austin showed passion and, pumped her fist after she got that steal in the three, and I think that ignited her team. I like to see these WNBA teams play with more passion. These girls got to show personality out here. Remember Cynthia Cooper back in the day? Raise the roof. That's what you got to do in back-to-backs.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to get me going down to fit in nostalgia. But right now, actually, let's go courtside. I've got Ariana Freeman right now who's on the court with Ariel Atkins. Ariana, the floor is yours.
Ariel, you've been playing so well in these last few games. Talk to me about your performance tonight and how you feel like you played.
Yeah, I think I've been trying to come out with the mindset of just doing anything I can to help us win, whether that's making shots, getting in there, crashing the boards, trying to get my hands on balls, or even just, trying to make the assist.
Back-to-back games at home. Obviously, this was a tough loss. But what can you guys take from tonight's game to take it onto the road?
I think when we turn it up a notch and we stay locked into each other, how good that we can be. I think when we have lapses is when we mess up our momentum.
Now everyone has been wearing orange all weekend long. You guys have been supporting the gun violence awareness initiation. How do you feel about just gun violence and how you guys are taking a stance?
I think there needs to be a stop to it. Obviously, there's some different laws and bills that can be put in place to help us do that. But I think as a whole, as W players, as the Mystics, being a team in DC, the best that we can do is push for it. Tosh Cloud does a really great job of that. She's very adamant about being locked into DC and how we can stop gun violence and different things like that.
Can you just talk about the feeling in the gym yesterday? It's hard to get anyone to agree on one thing, but just having a community rally around one topic. Shannon Watts was here. Everyone was wearing orange. Just talk about the feeling in the building yesterday.
It's definitely a bigger than basketball thing. I think that Wear Orange Night always puts things into perspective because not only are there lives that are taken, there's so many lives that are still here that are affected. And so for me, it's a very beautiful thing to kind of see the community come together, but it's also very humbling and understanding to realize and pay attention that there's so much stuff that's way bigger than basketball.
So thank you so much, Ariel. Back to you, Wes.
Thank you very much, Ariana. We appreciate that. And Ariel Atkins, again, having 18 points tonight. She had 16 points last night. My TV math says that's almost 34 points. I think I got that right. Yeah, 34 points in 2 games. I feel good about myself. Well, it's going to make me smile. Coming back on the other side of this break to get ready for the next 2 games, including 2 on the road in Seattle. But more importantly, how can this team find their way back into the winning column? Chastity's going to break it down for us on the other side when postgame returns.